Alrighty, Pretender here back with another Honkai Star video, and today I want to be discussing more about Sparkle and my final thoughts of her as a character. So as we are now getting close to the launch of 2.1, I wanted to sort of give my final opinion just because soon the Sparkle hype will fade away. She is still a very big topic right now, and I wanted to get my thoughts up before it's too late. So pretty much I'm going to be talking about just my usage. I am now a owner of an E2S1 Sparkle, so I want to talk about my experiences with E0S0, E0S1, E1S1, and E2S1 because I've used all of them a good amount and I'm pretty confident on what I have to say now. So I will just kind of be going over what I prefer. You have some gameplay going on in the back here. Just sort of what I like about her. Do I like using her more than others? All that kind of stuff. Yeah, before I get into the video, guys, stay drop a sub, turn on the bell icon for more videos like this along with other types of guides, summons, showcases, all that kind of stuff. And let's get straight into the video. So ever since Sparkle was just announced, I was really hyped for her because I always wanted to run a mono quantum team that is just hyper optimal. And so with the release of her being able to solve the skill point issue that it had, which was practically the only issue it had because it had Bushwan being the best sustain, Zele and QQ who are some of the best DPSs in the game, it already just practically had those, and the only thing that sort of was an issue was skill points. And then they introduced Sparkle, this madhouse of a harmony support that gives you a bunch of crit damage, gives you damage out, and gives you a crap ton of skill points. And so I was just super hyped for this. Originally, when I did end up getting her, I didn't expect too much of the damage output for my Zele to increase that much, but then I sort of really thought about it, seeing, oh, I'm kind of getting a 100% plus crit damage bonus to my Zele. And then I'm also like, oh, because of the skill points, my Danheng is also going to be able to do more output as well. For the record, both my Zele and Danheng aren't that crazy. My Zele is E2S1, but her build isn't anything crazy. It is pretty generic. And my Danheng is E0S0. I don't have anything crazy about him. His relics are extremely mediocre and Zele's relics are okay at best. So I don't have any like god builds, so I don't think I'm too biased about this. This is just purely damage being supported by Sparkle. So I've used Mono Quantum, I've used Danheng, I've used other units with Bronya, Ruan Mei, all that kind of stuff. And overall, I was still really happy with their outputs. I thought Danheng was very hard to manage and wasn't that crazy for me, especially at E0S0. He is still crazy, but just not for me. I think I was better off running anything else. So my Danheng was sort of just collecting dust. With Mono Quantum, I still use it a lot, the team originally being Zele, Silverwolf, Fushwan, and Lynx, but I mostly just ran a Blade team with Ruan Mei, Bronya. That's kind of a hyper carry Blade, just because it just felt the most consistent way to just get out damage and clear stuff until Sparkle came out. Originally, I didn't think I would like Sparkle more than just Ruan Mei or Bronya, and I'm like, Sparkle and Ruan Mei aren't gonna be too much of like a difference usage-wise, and I might still go back to using Bronya a lot until I actually use Sparkle. So originally I had her E0S0 for the first day or two, and once I get around just using her on the Mono Quantum team, her making it to where my Zele just practically can just continuously use skill. My Fushwan always had enough skill points to make sure her matrix is almost always up. Silverwolf being able to apply her weakness on anyone. Zele's crit damage just going all the way up to near 300 or 300% plus. It was absolutely insane. For the record, at all times I did have sort of a 220+% crit damage build, even at E0S0. Now she's sort of at E2S1 with a 250% crit damage build. I also don't have a 160 speed build or anything of like the 1 or 2 minus speed from your DPS build. I just have a generic 140-ish speed breakpoint Sparkle at the moment. But even without having these insane optimal Sparkle builds just to make it to where you can just dish out the best sort of damage, get the best sort of turns possible, she was just continuously surprising me every single time I use her, to the point I started using her on every team I did use. I've used her with Mono Quantum, Danheng, dual DPS teams like Danheng with a Ratio even. I've used Danheng with Jingwan, Ratio with Jingwan, and I've sort of got to the point where I honestly just barely use Bronya anymore. I know there's still cases where Bronya is better, but overall I ended up just not ever using my Bronya again. She is still just sort of just sitting without relics. She hasn't light cone at all, but it just sits there collecting dust now. I have never used my Danheng more either. With E0S1, my Danheng was dishing out some nice damage until I did end up getting E1S1. I didn't use them too much, and especially once I got E2. So again, as I mentioned, my Danheng is extremely free to play, and so I didn't see the massive increase for mine, besides the fact that now he can be spamming his full powered skill. Ever since getting her light cone and just giving everyone more crit rate and crit damage, anyone that was sort of on the lower crit rate side that I had, such as my Zele, that sort of issue I kind of forgot about. And now it just feels like I have these insane builds on everyone just because of what Sparkle can do, especially with the light cone. Without the light cone, she still just gave a bunch of crit damage. She didn't give that little bit of crit rate, but still all that crit damage. And so at E0, I did feel quite the difference with all my teams, but it mainly started with E0S1. Once I got to that, it just felt crazy, giving everyone all this crit damage, being easy to build this Sparkle of how she is, how easy it is to just run her with everyone. And then once I got E1S1, funny enough, not too long ago, the 40% damage bonus or the 40% attack buff that we get from the E1 and the turn extend is actually way more insane than I thought it was. The damage output for my Danheng and Zilla just shot up. And then once I got E2, holy crap. The defense ignore was so much better than what I thought it would be. And this honestly felt like I just had a unit. It just feels like my Danheng is an E0S0 free to play. And I cannot begin to imagine a world where I do have my Danheng at, let's say, E0S1 or even E2S1, let's say. I cannot imagine how some of you might feel if you guys do have an E2 Sparkle S1 and an E2 Danheng S1. I can't imagine the actual power you must feel. And just E2S1 Sparkle with anyone. Just dual DPS teams, Mono Quantum, Danheng, all that stuff, just anywhere. Even with characters like Jinglu or Blade who don't really need her because they're more skill point positive. It just, the output is just insane. And I've honestly never had more fun on the game. Yes, you've heard this right. I have never had more fun on the game before I've had this Sparkle. She was insane at E0S1, E0S0. It was still really fun. I wouldn't say the most fun I had, but now the output with E2S1, I have honestly not had this much fun on the game. Just seeing my free-to-play Danheng and my pretty good Zele just cook in anywhere, simulated universe obviously, but that's not the hard part. But Memory of Chaos, I haven't really tested too much in Pure Fiction yet because I don't have the proper builds to do it Pure Fiction stuff yet, but it's still just insane how much fun it is to have this Sparkle. And I do not regret potentially missing out on Acheron dupes for the Sparkle dupes. It's honestly just insane how much she can bring to the table. And now it comes to if I like her more than Ruan Mei, Bronya, Tingyun, all that kind of stuff. She is probably now my most used Harmony buffer. I obviously still do think Ruan Mei is objectively better because of what she provides, more of a universal support. I still do think she's better, so don't come after me thinking I'm saying Sparkle is better. No, I still do think Ruan Mei overall is better. But for me personally, I had this original thought thinking Sparkle was just better for me. I like using Sparkle infinitely more than Ruan Mei. Now that remains true, but like 5 times over. I don't think there is another support that I like using more than Sparkle. The 50% action forward, the crit damage you get, the damage dealt, and now the defense ignore, attack percent, all that stuff she does is honestly so insane. Seeing my units be able to dish out these kind of numbers is just crazy. Compared to Bronya, as I did mention, my Bronya just collects dust now, so I don't really have to get into that. I don't think I'm going to be using Bronya too much anymore, unless I do get another set to use for her, and then probably when I use Blade or something, I can probably do some funny things like the Unlimited Blade Works team I've been hearing about, so that's also a possibility. But for now, Sparkle is just my Bronya replacement. I know she isn't actually a Bronya replacement, but for me, she is. So that is my thoughts on Sparkle. Pretty much summing it up, she is my new favorite Harmony buffer. By all means, no contest for me. She is just so fun to use. Seeing my Danheng not collect dust anymore is just great. Making it feel like he's actually just properly built and all that stuff is just crazy. Seeing the damage numbers my favorite team currently Mono Quantum dishes out, letting me just run dual DPS teams with a bunch of crit damage and some crit rate provided is just so nice. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about Sparkle so far, because her banner is coming to an end in a week, so I think most people have enough to say about their final thoughts on her. Obviously, with time, she'll probably get even better and better and better, but I definitely want to see what you guys say right now. And yeah, that has been the video. Peace out.